Managing an 80-hour work week is no easy feat, but it can be done. So typically what I do is let's just get right into it. What I do is I work a full time, 40 hours a week. Not too crazy, 8 to 5, you have a lunch, have all that stuff. Then the next part of my day is anything with my IT business related. So having to work on hard drives, having to work on servers, having to work on people's computers. I meet with them, Starbucks, Panera, something like that, work on their system and kind of move forward from there. So that can take me anywhere from 2 to 3 hours a day based on what, I have going on. Maybe a little more. I'll work on it after work. So get off at 5 and go on from there. So I'll have like hard drives I need to clone or something like that. That's when I do it. So with those hours, it's about 15 hours a week. And that puts it at 55. And then I have a tutoring job where I spend 15 hours a week working on that. So I work on Saturdays and I teach children, high schoolers, and I work on office hours and meetings and stuff throughout the week. So that's 15 hours a week. And that puts us at 70. And then the last 10 is eBay stuff. So sourcing stuff for eBay, posting it, taking pictures, sending it out through the post office, all that stuff, chatting with people. It's about 10 hours a week. So in total, that's 80 hours. And you're probably wondering how the hell you manage that. Sometimes it's not easy, but what I find is that if I have a break, I take it. Typically, some days are more busy than others. So there might be a day where I'm let off of work early. There might be a day where, like for full time, there might be a day where I don't have as many jobs to do for IT stuff. There might be a day where I don't have to do, a Saturday class, because sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. It's a remote job. So I'll get the time where I can. There might be a Saturday where I just chill, don't do anything. Sundays are my breather days. I don't typically do anything on those days. If I do something after, I try to break it up throughout the week so I'm not like super stressed or super tired, and I can spend time with my wife and do things like that. So managing the week comes with being able to, take time and plan it out. And try not to be too spontaneous with people and get things done as quickly as I can. I just let them know what time works, if I have to go after work, if I have to travel, things like that. And I knock things out around the same time. And so I'll line people up for a certain day or anything like that. Or if it's something where I take home and work on it, I'll work on it a little bit by little and get it done. But that's how I typically manage to get things done. I use my lunch time to plan. And some people don't like doing things like that because you're working during your lunch and you try not to do that. But it's just some of the times that I have to really do it. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that when you love something, you make time for it. And like with music and stuff, like even posting TikToks and making YouTube, like that's fun. I don't really make too much money from that. I do make money from music. I don't make any money from YouTube, but I spend about 10 hours a week on that. But I consider that more of a fun thing. So it's like in total 90 hours a week on things that I like to work on. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that you can make time for things if you really want to. And like when I go through my day, it might be something like 7 to 7, or I might wake up early and work on something. I might do something late, like when my wife's asleep, or when, we have some free time, or if she's working on something for school or anything like that, we'll work simultaneously. And so it gives me some time to work on it without neglecting my life, but it can be stressful, and I don't think this is a long-term solution that you can do forever. I think I do have to pick one at some point, and I think I know where I'm going to go with that. But it's not easy to manage your work week if you're not on top of it. If you tell people that you can do it that day and then you start rushing, you start, not really making the time for it the way you should, you just get frazzled. And so I try to give people time frames. I try to do things remotely. Sometimes with people, I'll do things remotely because I don't have to do it in person. I use TeamViewer. I'll like get on a session program and help them with their stuff, or there's virus or malware or something. But if I do have to go in person, I'll make that appointment. I'll meet multiple people on the same day and just kind of make it easier on myself. So that's typically how I do it. And from there, it's been good. It's worked. And so that's kind of how I've seen it. But that's how I manage the week. I just wanted to give some updates on the IT business, how everything was going. So I'm trying to figure out if I need to be an LLC or not. Right now, I'm labeled as like a sole proprietor, and I have like a DBA little thing that I use for everything. But I did do a business account so I could keep track of expenses and stuff. So that's at least good. But it's been tough because I have a lot of jobs coming up. Some scheduled for this week, some scheduled for next. And I have been pretty excited about getting some screens done, getting some things replaced, but it's one of those things where it has like encompassed my life more than anything that else I'd like in terms of work. Like it's like the one thing I really care about, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like trying to plan things out, and it's hard to remember everything, and I don't know, it just gets tough from there. But I really want to continue. I feel like I'm doing a good job, but I also am working really hard to try and sustain a full time while also managing everything else. So the day has gone crazy. I mean, had things packed up and shipped out for eBay. I sold like 4 things on eBay yesterday, which was crazy. In total, that made about $300, so it wasn't too bad. But sold stuff on eBay, some tech stuff, some phones, some like IP phones, some other stuff, and now I'm just trying to plan out my day. And I know this is more like an update video more than anything, but with the one video every day challenge, sometimes I have different things going on. I have music, I have, my weekend job as a tutor, and then I have my tech stuff, and then I'm working a full time. So working 4 jobs basically, but it's one of those things that I know will work out. I know I just need to save. I know I just need to figure out how to move forward. And if there's anyone else who's thinking about doing this, you should keep your full-time job, in my opinion, until you can move on and have a savings, have things that you can fall back on. But having a proof of concept for starting is just like super important, because you don't want to jump into something and like quit your job and like completely give up and then like realize that it doesn't work, right? And sometimes people do that. And I think there are people who make it work. They're like, there's the mindset of like, oh, I have to make this work. I don't have the option not to make this work. And I think there's a select amount of people who can do that. But for me, like, I just don't have that option. I have to make sure I have something stable. I have to make sure that, I can keep my abode, keep all that stuff. But it's one of those things where for me, I wanted to have a proof of concept and be able to tell like what was working and if it would work for me, and then move forward from there. And so far it's been working for me, which is great. And now knowing I have a proof of concept, I can move forward and do other things. And I think that was the most important thing for me. So now it's just a matter of planning how everything works and what kind of car I need, all that stuff. Because right now I drive a company truck and all of that. So I don't know. One of the things I've been thinking about is whether I need an SUV or a truck. And just to like do eBay and like computer stuff, I might need a truck, but I feel like I might just be being like all American or something because I like trucks now. So we'll figure it out. And I'll tell you what I end up getting, but it won't be for a while. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the proof of concept because it's just so important to be able to know like that it will work, right? So that's kind of where I've been figuring things out. And now having a proof of concept and being able to work, like I'm honestly having to I don't know what I just said. I'm honestly having to turn down jobs because I can't do them all. And that's been something that's been hard, but I know that it's better for me in the long run. Instead of telling people I can do stuff and you just can't and you don't want to underperform. But yeah, I've been turning stuff down and I want to be able to get to a point where I can actually do them, which will probably require having more time. But we'll see how that goes. And until then, we'll see you tomorrow.